Hello friends, this is Music Man from his man cave, and some of my family and friends wanted to know what kind of PEX I recommend. So I'm going to share what I think is the best PEX right now. The PEX tubing, probably the fittings are all pretty dependable and pretty reliable. But I'm going to just share what I think, what I would go with, and my reasoning coming at you right now. What is the best PEX tubing? Let's go. So when I was selecting my tubing, what I did is I got on Bing or Google, and I Googled the different PEX, and I was going to try to stay away from the kind that had any failure rates in the past. And then something dawned on me. I was looking up the different PEX, and I found out there was a certain company named Nibco that they had a huge failure rate. The new houses were built down in, I think, the Carolinas, I think in North Carolina, back from 1999 to like 2006, and they had their PEX failing left and right. I mean, it was bad. At that time, it was called Durapex by Nibco. So I was like, I'm going to stay away from that. So I started doing research, and I researched Zern, and I researched SharpBite, and I researched, I think it's called Virga and Reha and all this. And my final decision was, guess which one? Nibco. Let me tell you why. You got to learn to read between the lines. Read between the lines. Okay, I was reading these comments that were going on. First of all, there was some real mistakes made in the installation. It sounded like with a lot of this Nibco plumbing. First of all, I keep my I copper probably 30 feet from the hot water heater before I ran to PEX. Just saying, copper still has its place because that initial water coming out of there is mighty piping hot. Anyway, that's not the reason I chose Nibco, though. It's because I realized that they put it too close to the hot water heater. The reason I chose it was because this. I did a little more research, and I discovered that Nibco's had 100 years in the plumbing world, and they bought out a company that made Nibco. And I can't remember what it was. It was CIP or CTS or whatever. And they were the ones that owned that manufactured that PEX tubing, where the hot side went bad in one area down in the southeast between 1999 and 2006. So everybody's now turning and they're blaming Nibco, and they're coming after Nibco, and they want, these people want blood, man. They want their houses rebuilt because they put this stuff inside of walls and put it in ceilings and let it freeze. And if you read all the comments, it'd be enough to make your head spin. But I realized something. It's just like the stock market. This is what people do. When the stock market's going well, it's going really, really well, and everything's just cooking, man. It's going big, going big, going big. Everybody buys. But then when it plummets, everybody sells. That's a huge mistake. Okay, when it's going big, going big, going big, there's a certain point where you have to say, I'm getting off. This is getting ridiculously high, and it's being manufactured to be high. And see the signs and sell, and then when it drops down low, you buy, and because the stock market will go up and down. Okay, I go the same way with stuff like this. I mean, who's going to have the best transmissions probably in the next decade? I believe it's going to be Honda, because their transmissions are just right now. Okay, and who's probably going to have the best motors? Maybe a U.S. car is going to come out with some of the best motors coming out. You know, you just never know. And stop putting that plastic junk or the plastic manifolds in, or terrible gaskets on the manifold gaskets. And letting antifreeze leak into their motors and so forth. The bottom line is, failure is not always a bad thing. So Nibco bought out this company, and its plumbing started failing after 2006, after Nibco bought it out, until even today it's failing. You still have failure rates across the board with NIPCO. Okay? That was already installed. And I see consistently, it's like 2003, the person put this on the internet, 2006, 2004, you know, some even a couple of years afterwards, some 2014. So that PEX lasted from 2001 when the house was built to 2014, and then it failed the same way as that other PEX failed. So this is my thinking. What is going to be the most tested, the most scrutinized, if it's still on the market, PEX out there that's had the most failures, it's going to be NIPCO PEX. So what are they going to have to do so they don't hemorrhage a lot of money because they are selling this PEX? They're going to have to make sure that they do not send out another bad batch. Their quality control is going to have to go way up. Okay, and that's just the way that I see it. So when I saw the NIPCO PEX there on sale, and it was cheap, dirt cheap, and I compared it with the Shark Bite PEX that was right beside it and the Zern PEX that was right beside it, and I didn't like how expensive the Reha fittings were and different things. I didn't see as much, you know, and I liked the crimping method with the copper washer rather than the stainless steel. It just looked more secure to me. So I went with NIPCO. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm gonna evaluate my plumbing. I made sure that my there's only one area that my plumbing is not highly accessible, and I put Zern there. You know, in that difficult to reach place. But I went with NIPCO. Now, tell me what you think. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to go with NIPCO because it had a date stamped on it? I mean, it has all these certifications stamped on it now. It's just insane. You know, how many certifications, and it's been tested, and this and that, and it had this NIPCO PEX was made June the 15th of 2015. So I believe that it's going to be good stuff. And if it does fail in 5-6 years, I'm going to be on top of it because it's new to me anyway. You should never leave your water on. That's some nothing. Who are these people? They leave their water on? And they're gone from their house an extended period of time? You're that out of tune with what's going on in your home? I mean, if I heard water running, I'd be like, why is water running? And I'd catch anything that you know, or if I would definitely notice if my carpet was wet or my walls were getting wet or whatever. I'm just saying that I'm going with NIPCO for right now because they had a failure rate. My motto is fail, and fail often until you get it right. These other plumbing companies, Shark Bite, Zern, Reha, I don't believe that they're under the scrutiny that NIPCO is right now. They cannot afford to fail again. They cannot afford to send out another bad batch of PEX tubing. If they do, it's going to hurt their name, and people are going to avoid NIPCO like the plague. Food for thought. Tell me what you think below. NIPCO.